busy for a good reason, and keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully it's like that for hurricane season too. So I'm going to knock on wood, do whatever I have to do, but that's the way it goes. Michel, welcome to the program. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, Martin.
We got to start off with the flooding situation, the riverine system. A lot of work went into it. It didn't happen, not because we wanted it to happen, because of projects that worked. So government gets an A+ on this one. Tell us what happened and how you feeling now about it.
And Martin, what you have to realize, when we had all of the flooding in 1973, the level at Morgan City and the Atchafalaya was 10.53 feet. On this event, it actually got up only to 10.32 feet, but that's just a little bit of difference between it. And we had massive flooding in 1973. A lot of things went in our favor. The drought, the fact that they started closing the bays in the Morganza, and that barge at Bayou Chene was major. We also had a floodgate at Gibson, and we closed that right away. And with all the other work that we did, we were certainly prepared. But you know how it is, whenever you're prepared, something doesn't happen.
Right.
And I think that was it. But most people believe, like, the water didn't come. The water did come. Mm-hmm. It was 10.5 feet in 1973 at Morgan City. It got to be 10.3 feet in Morgan City. Mm-hmm. And so basically the water was there. We just had a lot of things that worked.
But the Bayou Chene project forced it south, so you had higher levels in Penchant and all the way south. So obviously this Bayou Chene thing worked. Do you now go to the Corps of Engineers and say, okay, we proved that it worked, and try to get a flood structure there?
Well, we've already had meetings on that. Okay. In fact, a meeting with the Corps as well as a meeting with the St. Mary Levee District. They would like to leave the wing walls there so that in the future all they have to do is bring the barge and they can just drop it in place. Mm-hmm. That's what the request is. What I'm doing, I'm working in connection with the Corps on our projects in Terrebonne. And Bill Hidalgo and the St. Mary Levee District done a wonderful job. He informed us the other day that the project only, and I say only, it ran about $6 million. But if you would have thought with all the damage that could have been done to Morgan City, Stevensville, Terrebonne Parish, truly that was pennies in connection with that.
That $6 million was a drop in the bucket to what could have happened. How you found Morgan City, St. Mary, Terrebonne, Lafourche, Assumption seemed to be unprecedented the way everybody was working together. What's your take on that?
Martin, I believe there was a lot of prayers, and our prayers were answered. We had so many things going our way, and I've never seen governmental agencies work as well, engineering firms, contractors, churches, citizens, and all the people in our area all pulled together because we had something that we knew was going to be a major problem, and I am forever grateful to all of those that are part of it.
Now the Corps, I'm always tough on the Corps, but aside from the initial map that they sent out that sort of panicked everybody, they really came to the rescue too. They did a good job here, didn't they?
What did they do?
Well, they gave us permits, did they?
They gave a temporary permit for the barge.
Okay.
But as far
I take it your take on it's not as high as mine. You must have had a lot of tough negotiations with them.
It's not, because when we were having our major event down here, they indicated that, well, look, do what you need to do now, and then we'll worry about it later. Well, again, we're appreciative for that. That gave us the go-ahead, and it showed what everybody knows. If you don't have the Corps, look how much stuff you can get done in a short period of time. And, of course, now we're going to be working later to try to put all the pieces together and hopefully maintain a lot of the infrastructure that we put up.
And I'll ask you that question in a month, because I sense that you've been having a lot of talks with the Corps, so maybe there's some things that we don't know that's taking place by phone.
Right, not only with the Corps, but with congressional people, to try to maybe position ourselves in such a manner that not only will we get a higher reimbursement than 75-25, but that we'll be able to maybe maintain some of these improvements.
Okay, what are some of the things now that we can sort of relax on this situation that you're trying, and not that it stopped, it was still going on. give us the state of the parish at this point.
Oh, you mean for other items?
Yeah.
All righty. Well, first off, Island Road has been really proceeding, and I'm being told that it'll be completed by the end of July, which is absolutely wonderful. We thought it would be the end of this year.
Okay.
Thompson Road, they're actually clearing the trees in the middle in the right-of-way, and we have been informed by the contractor they're actually going to start hauling dirt onto the site on June 16th. West Side Boulevard, you see it when you pass, major work being done, and they're putting sewer lines and other improvements throughout the structure. And my appreciation is it'll be finished on or before November, so that'll be a major thing. And I do want to indicate one thing. The bridge by Canadas, by Bruce Clark's office, is not big enough to handle 4 lanes of traffic. So there was a decision made by the state engineers, the Canadas, the Barkers, the council member for that district, Billy Abear, our parish engineers, and they determined that that bridge would go one way going towards St. Louis Canal or going towards the Canadas on that area. So just be aware that won't be a two-way bridge at that point. On Highway 315, a lot of people have seen the construction work on that. It has stopped only because they had difficulty with the high water getting materials down the river, and they couldn't get the materials, but it should get cranked up again fairly quickly. Valhalla Extension, good news. I think we finished our last right-of-ways today on that. We're going to have to sign some paperwork. The plans are basically finalized. The bonds we should be getting our money from the bonds in the latter part of July, and we're hoping to go to construction on or about sometimes around September, and we're hoping that we can get that done. And that'll be a major benefit for Highway 311, anybody who lives in that area. The only thing that we're concerned about, there's some of the developers will need to connect some of those streets to Valhalla. There's only going to be a few connections to start off with, but they're going to need more after that. On Highway 24, there's going to be an overlay project starting a little later this year that goes from Presqu'île Bridge to Klondike, and there's going to be 2 turn lanes. One's going to be at the new St. Anne Bridge. The other will be at Hotard Street by Berg to turn right into Berg Elementary. The other thing that we might want to mention is that if you've seen by the St. Anne Bridge in Berg, the building adjacent has been torn down. The bid should be accepted on the construction of the bridge on June 29th, and it'll proceed after that. That bridge is very important for the new Berg Fire Department, which is right across the way. I wanted to mention some drainage projects. We have going out and recirculating it for bid right now, a new Summerfield pump station, a new Ashland pump station, the Savan Road drainage, which we've had complaints on that for quite some time. It's going to be right along Savan Road. The bids have come in. They were less than what we had projected. It should be accepted next council agenda, and we should be able to proceed from that. LA Contracting is going to continue to be, they're going to restart the culvert work that needed on the CCC ditch in the 11B system. I am happy to say that Lowland Construction is beginning work from Lake Homus to Bayou Gardens Extension on the CCC ditch, and that'll provide some additional drainage improvements for that area. We have a number of things. The Bayreuth pump station, we have to get some land rights, and then we have the money ready to go on that, so that should not be a problem. We're also doing some work on some boat launches. Texas Gulf Road, Ashland, and South Homa boat launches. There are going to be improvements made to not only the boat launch itself, but also to the parking in those areas. And I think those are major things that we would have. Now, I wanted to mention a couple other things, or if you need to stop me.
No, go ahead.
Okay. We just got approval for 80 more elevations for the parish. We have so far elevated 809 homes. In my administration, this will be 80 more. And what I'm really pleased to tell you, when I got into office, there were 213 derelict vessels in our bayous. We have now picked up over 100 of them, and we're going to come back and pick up about another 50. When we have picked up that next 50, there's going to be pretty much everything. When you go up and down the bayous, you won't be able to see one of these derelict vessels. There are some metal vessels that we might not pick up right now, but for the most part, everything's going to be picked up.
Let me ask you this, on going back to Island Road, and I know that's good news because none of us thought it would be that quick, but doesn't that give you a sense with the levee work being done, Island Road maybe being finished in July, that gives us a much better fighting chance during this hurricane season, doesn't it?
No question about that. And Martin, those are the things that you like to see being completed. You know, the levee district's done a bunch of work for levees. We've done a bunch of drainage levees. And, I mean, just think of all the other things we've done. The levees on industrial, the 11B sheet pile portion we did out there by Motivated, and all the areas. And we're working on Concord. We expect to get that Concord thing. We finally came up with the last landowner. And just for full disclosure, I mean, part of that project, we have to buy something from you.
Correct, absolutely.
And that's it, but that's going to...
At a real good price, though.
At an extremely good price.
Yeah.
In fact, it's going to be an amazingly good price. But what happens is it protects Mulberry and Barrios, and it continues a 10-foot level of protection
And
along
Lamar.
there.
And Lamar.
And Lamar.
Yeah.
All those areas. And it also gives 6 acres of reservoir capacity, which is really something that we need to do. I also want to mention on Summerfield, when we put that Summerfield pump station, we've already got plans to extend the forced drainage system because we're going to add an additional 48-inch pump. That's going to add, and we feel that we can pick up at that point in time Westgate Addendum 6. A lot of people complain because Westgate Addendum 6 was outside of the forced drainage system, and when we had the big rains, there had a lot of people that were concerned. Right. But we didn't have the pump capacity. We can't just add people to a forced drainage system without a pumping capacity, and all the people we had promised we would protect, they get flooded because we added new people. We have to do this, and that's part of what we've been working to try to attain. And but Martin, there's a lot of work going on right now in the parish.
Let's do this. We're going to take a break. We're going to talk more with the parish president. If you have a specific question that you would like to ask to, 879-1231. Also, later on in the program, we'll have Dr. Craig Walker on the phone. I mean, he'll be live in the studio, I'm sorry. That'll be coming up shortly. Don't go away. All next on Bayou Time. Stay tuned.